What's up guys, Americano back here with another video. Today we have a very in-depth analysis of exactly where we are within this market cycle. We're in the most bullish phase right before euphoria takes off, and if you know how to read it, this is where you will make the most money in this cycle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it and I'll walk you through it. Alright, as always, we have a typical messy Americano chart up here, but if I can cram the most amount of data possible into a video, I'm going to do that, right? So black and white candles, we have Bitcoin. This line here represents closing above previous all-time highs. You can see that I've mapped out 3 cycles for us here. And in the purple, we have total 2 index. That's going to come in handy because that's tracking all altcoins. And then in the red here, we have a specific coin that I'm going to not mention on here, but if you dig deep enough and look at the patterns and the charts and things like that, you can kind of figure what I'm talking about. But this coin historically has given me a huge read on the market. Something that I like to invest in. It's something that we buy pretty heavily at certain times within the paid community. So I don't want to explicitly say it out loud on YouTube for free, but for you guys checking out the video, you can look at the price scale, you can look at the pattern, and maybe you can figure it out. If you do figure it out, drop it in the comments. Save everybody a little bit of work. All right, so now that we're acclimated, okay, 2017, I don't know if you guys know, if you guys weren't around for it, but there's actually 2 alt seasons, like 2 full-fledged alt seasons within this cycle. We don't have data on total 2 here, so I can't exactly tell where it would have broken out from. People do usually like to say typically there's 2 full-fledged alt seasons, which I tend to agree with for the fact that there wasn't many altcoins, right? So when Bitcoin started pumping, altcoins didn't really necessarily lag behind it. But you do see there was a point in time here, once Bitcoin did break out, that these altcoins started to lag heavily, right? This moved sideways from June to October. XRP during this time moved sideways from like May, June, all the way until the following January, right? 6, 7, 8 months for some of these coins, which led to frustration within those altcoin holders of why is my coin not moving, while Bitcoin, runs 4, 5, 600, 1,000, 1,500%. So keep in mind that kind of sentiment that altcoin investors have of why is Bitcoin getting all the fun and my altcoin is sitting sideways, right? Come to 2021, right? We now have data on total 2 here in the purple, as well as Mr. Unnamed Coin, which I love and hold very dearly, near and dear to my heart, right? But essentially, this was a little bit different, right? People don't typically talk about this as 2 full-fledged alt seasons. And a lot of coins, even though total 2 made a new high right here, a lot of coins topped out in this area. Only like Solana, Ethereum, I think Cardano maybe, like couple top 10 coins went to go make new highs here in November. So typically top of the altcoin market was here, right? So with that in mind, let's look to 2021. Okay, obviously total 2 has not broken out. We haven't seen expansion in a lot of altcoins, and a lot of people are just as upset as these holders were in this area, waiting, seeing Bitcoin have all the fun, and wondering why their altcoin's not moving. Okay, one thing I would like to note, okay, where we are within this Bitcoin cycle. Okay, we're one of 2 places. We are one of 2 places. Both are bullish for alts, and both, if you follow like a structured sell system of just scaling out as you should, right? If you're dollar cost averaging in, if you have some strategy for getting in, you need a strategy for getting out. And it shouldn't be, I'm going to sell the exact top, because that's never going to happen, right? So either way, you should be protected from either one of these scenarios, but we could be in one of 2 places for this Bitcoin bull run, right? We could be within this pullback that kind of doesn't really reach back to the all-time highs. Okay, we had that again in here. Obviously, everybody knows that these returns are kind of deteriorating over time. Okay, so this might have, pushed out a little bit higher if it was 2017 and we got the same pullback and wouldn't have gotten as close to a back test. But in crypto, man, everybody wants it to print the exact same thing all the time. It does if you look at, emotions within the market at the time and have a little bit of discrepancy when looking at the charts, right? People love to overlay, fractals and things like that. But the reason that people can't just look at this stuff and instantly know what to do at each point in time is because they look at it so literally, right? If you have an understanding of, okay, returns are going to be less, so pullbacks might be less, or since returns are less, we're not getting out as far, so these pullbacks might actually look like a retest of the all-time high, which they are, but they were here too, right? We didn't have enough demand or selling pressure to push us down all the way to the all-time high, or we got out so fast that we couldn't get pushed back to the all-time high. Okay, so in this case, this is what happens to altcoins, right? If we're somewhere within this area in the Bitcoin cycle, and I don't think, this is a rare case in crypto that I got somewhat wrong-footed on, right? I was buying Bitcoin in here, okay, as a part of my typical system, thinking we're in a bear market. And when it shot back up, I kind of didn't have a sell plan ready for it. Okay, so if something like this happened, I'm not preparing for it in the sense that it's not going to hurt me to miss some sort of double top if Bitcoin chooses to do so again when 90% of altcoins didn't make new highs, definitely didn't make new highs against Bitcoin, right? In this area, like my system fully protects me from that. So I'm kind of ignoring that. If this is a part of your thesis going forward, a lot of things kind of played into that, but I won't get into that in this video. I am not going to be playing it as if we get this. I'm playing some sort of blow off top scenario as we've had in previous cycles, right? So with that being said, if this is where we are within the Bitcoin run, okay, total 2, you could expect to be breaking out as we see here, which is good for altcoins, okay? And if it's good for altcoins, you see mystery coin do a 15x, right? But there is a little bit things kind of different with this, okay? So within this area, obviously we see mystery coin kind of a little bit elevated, right? Mystery coin would be somewhere, up in here, reclaiming some of these areas. The pump would be a little bit more obvious, right? So for that reason, I have these gray boxes here on mystery coin and on total 2. Okay, again, look at this stuff with nuance. It's not going to play out exactly the same, but look at the emotions that people feel during this time, right? So let's look at it like this, right? Think about the emotions, okay? So Bitcoin is all the way at what, $38,000, fully broken out. Mystery coin has not taken off. Total 2, which means majority of altcoins are still sitting underneath their all-time highs. Okay, what do you think the emotions are like? Something like what we saw back in 2017, something like we're feeling now. Okay, again, total 2 below its all-time high, right? We have this little pump here. We have this little pump and pullback in this area, right? Keep in mind this is a line graph, okay, so you don't see the wicks. The wicks were pretty nasty. You guys can go back and look at total 2 if you'd like. And it's very expanded because that's what it's taken to elicit the same type of emotions that people were feeling here, right? In this area, we had COVID. That did majority of the emotional grabbing at the time, right? People didn't know what was going to happen, right? But now we have time. Time's done it, right? Some of these coins have sat sideways from February of 24 really down to all the way to June of 25. So over a year and a half of just sideways, total 2 sideways, right? That is enough for people to get emotional. So I do think it is possible that we are in some area like this, which in this case we would have probably, 2 more. I don't think Bitcoin's going as astronomically high as people think, but we might have a little pump, a little pullback, and then go in for the high, right? And I'm not saying we go up to 250K, whatever this is, okay? But you get my point, right? We very well might, but either way, you're still going to be better suited being in altcoins from this point on. Additionally, to play on this side of things, right? Remember I mentioned this was kind of like the pullback into the all-time high, but if I'm wrong on that, right, every good thesis you have to prove yourself wrong, because if you're not poking holes in it, you're just saying stuff at that point, right? If I'm wrong and that little pullback area it's something completely different, maybe it's something like this, right? Maybe we're just right here, right? And we just got out a little bit early or something, right? And we still have yet to have that kind of pullback like I just showed earlier, where it's like boom, boom, and then we go, right? And my idea for that is that Total 2 has yet to break out. We've yet to have like a true like just expansion out of here, out of the all-time highs, right? We've kind of just waddled sideways, right? 73 to 106, yeah, it's nice and all, but it's been flat. Nothing's been very vertical, right? Obviously, if we take it off log scale, you can see it a bit more clear. It is rather vertical, okay? Let me bring this down here, but just for the sake of the thesis, right? So I kind of went on a rant in this video. This is why my short form stuff is a little bit more cleaned up, a little bit more defined, but working on kind of my long form delivery and things like that, right, guys? So I appreciate y'all sticking with me through this one. But to wrap things up, we're one of two places. This cycle is coming to an end. Get that out of the way. It's not going into 2026. It's not an 8-year cycle. The cycle isn't broken. None of this stuff. And I'm not even saying that because I believe in a 4-year cycle. I'm just saying with signs of where the altcoin market is at, whether it's here or whether we're here, Bitcoin is coming to an end and altcoins are going to outperform. Okay, we are one of two places, based on this data that I'm showing you guys, right? And to recap that, it's sentiment data, it's data on Total 2 index, it's data on mystery coin here, which has historically been a great indicator of tops coming in. Sentiment pumps at the very last moment, right? It only pumps when Bitcoin is topping. Okay, classic, perfect altcoin to look at. Okay, and all of this is pointing to, one, the fact that Bitcoin is coming to an end. Two, the fact that altcoins are about to seriously outperform for the next couple of months. And three, that we are in one of two places, whether we're all the way up here for altcoins, mystery altcoin, Total 2, or whether we are, underneath this all-time high in this gray box like we are here, right? Just gives you a bigger pump. That's all that matters, right? Regardless of whether we're here or here, you should be buying altcoins like I mentioned. And regardless of whether we're here or here, if we're in this gray box, you're getting more gains. If we're in the green box, you're getting less gains, yes, but you're still drastically outperforming Bitcoin, right? This is from $7 to $120, right? And this both ways. Remember I said there's no wicks. This is really like $5 to $135. Or if we're in the gray box, this is like $4 to $135. This video is kind of to prove where we are within the cycle, the fact that you should be buying altcoins. As more data comes out, I will be able to make a determination on, are we in the green box, are we in the gray box? And we'll have two or 3 months, right? This is from January all the way to May of 21. So, 3, 4, 5 months, however long it is, we'll have time. We'll be patient. But for now, data showing should be buying altcoins. And anybody that wants to argue in my comments on TikTok, especially Instagram, somewhat. You guys are pretty nice on YouTube, so I appreciate that. But maybe I'll direct them to this video and just be like, guys, if you can look at gray boxes and green boxes and black lines, you'll kind of have a better understanding of where we're at, right? We're also pointing towards the top that's basic. Everybody talks about it. I mention it in my TikToks and in short form and stuff. But I think we'll wrap it up here. As always, if you guys want to claim my free PDFs kind of breaking down, this is the same stuff my system is built on too. Not trying to walk around what I use for my actual system. But this is very similar to what my system is built on for rotations, for switching over to altcoins, for when to buy Bitcoin, things like that. I use similar data like this. Clients will recognize all this charts, all this madness on here with 3, 4, 5 price charts, because it's important if you want to visualize everything. But if you guys want to claim the PDFs that I have, just drop SBS in the comments. I'll make sure I hit you back with a link. You can also get it in my description. I have a free Discord in there for you guys if you guys have questions on this video in particular, or just questions about really any of my videos. Happy to get anything answered for you guys. Appreciate y'all. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this, how you guys are thinking about it. If you're seeing stuff that contradicts this, I'd love to see it. Like I said, poke holes in it. That's what it's here for. I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.